Every Wednesday is New Comic Day, and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to your local comic shop and pick up something fun to read. This week is packed with stuff that's fun to read. A lot of books I'm really excited about. Going to start with the Marvel guys because this is X-Men #1. I would say it's the one you've all been waiting for, but you've been plowing through Powers of 10 and House of X and all this great stuff. Been saying it's a great time to be an X fan. You're going to want to catch up on the two minis before you pick this one up, but grab those, finish them off, jump into this X-Men #1. Or, you know, if you're not an X-Men fan, if you're not a Marvel fan, just get Powers in house and just jump into this new #1. Like I say, fun and exciting time to be an X-Men fan. Great time to see this franchise back on track. Great stuff there. Absolute Carnage #4. Another one of the huge, big Marvel books. Another thing that's been selling out each and every week. Gone to reprint numerous times. This one's probably on your list already. But if not, grab that reprint of #1 and see what all the buzz is about. A little dark, a little heavy, but a lot of fun. One of the cooler Marvel events in a little while. And there's lots of Absolute Carnage spin-off books. This is Absolute Carnage Avengers. You know I love anything with the Avengers. This is your only 18 book this week. I always say you don't have to follow all the different side books, but if you're really digging the main title and you like some of these other characters, then it's worth checking out. They're only 3-issue runs, so it's not too much of a commitment. There's that one. There's Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool, because everybody loves Deadpool, and Absolute Carnage Scream. Like I say, a lot of Absolute Carnages this week, but lots of other stuff to talk about. This is Spider-Man #2 from J.J. Abrams. The issue #1 was a big seller. Everybody really interested to see what he does in a mainstream comic, and they were not disappointed. No, that one's also probably already on your list or in your box, but if it isn't, grab that first issue, pick up this week's #2. Kind of out of continuity, its own little story, but really good stuff. You'll like that one. Captain America #15. Everybody knows this is my favorite title, and it's a really great time to be a Cap fan. This latest incarnation of the title is as good as it's been in a long time. So grab the first issue or just jump into this latest issue. I mean, it's worth it just for those covers. Check out that awesome Captain America cover. Great stuff. Captain Marvel. Another book from Marvel that sells out each and every time. Black Panther Agents of Wakanda. Because Black Panther is totally awesome enough to carry 2 books. He needs his own single book and his own team book. And Arrow, coming out of the War of Realms Agents of Atlas stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy #10. This is your tearjerker issue of the week. If you've been following Guardians, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been, well, it's pretty much all right there on the cover for you. Go back to number 6 or 7 and catch up to this latest issue to see what is going on with all of that. History of the Marvel Universe by my man Mark Waid. Can't say enough about this title. Can't say enough about anything ever written by Mark Waid. He's one of my all-time favorites. He's one of the legendary greats of comics. This is more than just a recap of all the stories that you know. This is more than just some long list of events. This is a whole big cool story. Lots of secrets being revealed, along with, of course, the going back through all the things that you know, but a few things that you don't. Great story, great art. Like I say, it's a lot more than just an official handbook kind of thing. So pick up that first issue. It will totally suck you in and make you catch up to the latest one. That's a lot of fun stuff. Journey to Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. This is your prequel comic for the upcoming movie. You know, I've been encouraging everybody to check out all the different stuff that Marvel's doing with their Star Wars line and that IDW is doing with their Star Wars line. A little more on the IDW Marvel mashup later, but this is Return to Vader's Castle. This is the second series. They do this last year. They did a 5-issue weekly to go along with Halloween. This is the sequel to that, another 5-issue weekly series. It's an all-ages book, but it's a little creepy-crawly Star Wars story for, like I say, just in time for Halloween. That's Asajj Ventress on the cover. She's always cool in any comic. Really encourage you guys to pick up the first run of this. We've got Black Cat packs for the first series. Jump into this second one. I love what they've been doing with Star Wars Adventures. It's really fun to see Star Wars stories in an all-ages format, but particularly in a kind of creepy-crawly Halloween format. Really fun stuff. Savage Sword of Conan. One of the many Conan books that's rolling out for Marvel these days. And the one I've been waiting for. This is Crazy #1. If you remember Crazy Magazine from back in the day and Obnoxio the Clown from back in the day, you're totally going to want to pick this up. Back in the 70s, Crazy Magazine was Marvel's answer to Mad Magazine. Don't know much more to say about it than that, but it's really great to see it back in comics in a regular standard comic book form. Love me some Obnoxio the Clown. Make sure that one finds its way into your stack this week. And what a great, great week for the DC guys. This is Batman number 81. You know we've been talking up Batman and Tom King here in the shop, here in the video, on the podcast, everywhere we can. Been loving this run. Only got 4 issues left, and then it will spin off into its own title. Can't say enough about this. Like I've been saying, I know this one's probably already on your list and in your box this week. But if not, you're really missing out on one of the great, great runs of Batman. So go back as far as you want. I highly recommend picking up the Volume 4 trade paperback and catching up from there, or just jump into this latest one and go back and catch up. Like I say, great, great run of Batman stuff. Dark Multiverse, Batman Nightfall. It's the first issue of a new series of one-shots that they're going to be doing. Sort of the famous events that you know from the DCU, like Nightfall and Death of Superman and Blackest Night and all that kind of stuff, but taking place in the Dark Multiverse. Good stuff there. Nightwing, Taking on the Court of Owls, is your other Bat book this week. You know I'm always talking up Nightwing. He's one of my favorite Bat characters. Superman, Year 1, number 3. The last issue of the new big black label thing from Frank Miller and John Romita Jr., a couple of my all-time favorites, a couple of legendary creators. Taking on, of course, one of my all-time favorite characters. Doesn't get any cooler than Superman. This is only a 3-issue mini, so grab number 1 and 2 if you missed them. Pick up this week's number 3. Really, really great stuff. Sort of obviously with Year 1, it's a reimagining of the origin of Superman. Good stuff there. And Superman Smashes the Klan. It's another cool little graphic novel that I could have put in the all ages section, but I'm busting it out here in our Superman segment. You know, this is actually inspired by a true story that I don't have time to go all into right now. But pick up this comic, Google Superman Smashes the Klan, and read all about the events from the 40s that made this book happen. It's really, really cool and interesting part of American history, especially in these crazy times that we live in. And Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. It's your other super book for the week. Really been loving this title. Matt Fraction is nailing this book. He nails Jimmy Olsen. This is really great. It's just a little bit homage to the original title, but also fun and exciting and modern and cool and all the things that Jimmy Olsen is. Grab the first issue of that and catch up to the new one to see what I'm talking about. Justice League, another one of my favorite titles. This book, a lot like Captain America, a lot like some of the other books I've been talking about, this is as good as it's ever been. This is as good a run of Justice League as you're going to find. All the big heroes, all the big villains. This is your centerpiece for all the Year of the Villain stuff that's been going on. So if you picked up that Year of the Villain Joker book last week and you don't know what's going on with this Year of the Villain stuff, jump into Justice League. Everybody should be reading Justice League anyway. Speaking of Year of the Villain, Teen Titans is your other DC team book. And then we've got Titans Burning Rage is your formerly at Walmart and now at your friendly neighborhood comic shop book, along with Wonder Woman Come Back to Me, which brings us to Wonder Woman 100-Page Giant. Been loving these 100-page giants. If you're old like me, you remember the 100-page giants from back in the day? They were a lot of fun. If you're not old like me, 100-page giants are still as fun as they ever were. New stories, reprint stories, lots of great stuff in here. There's been Scooby-Doo, a Batman one, a Flash one, so pick up this Wonder Woman one and be on the lookout for the others that are rolling out, because what's more fun than a giant-sized 100-page comic? Flash Forward is your Flash book of the week, spinning out of the events from Heroes in Crisis. And Aquaman is another one of your Year of the Villain books. Been digging Aquaman. This is really one of the better titles DC has. It has been since the New 52 stuff. So if you love the movie, if you're just looking for something a little different, jump into Aquaman, because that's awesome. Speaking of awesome, Metal Men number 1. Super excited to see Metal Men come back to comics. Again, if you're 100 years old like me, you love Metal Men. If you're not 100 years old like me, you should totally pick this up and check out one of the more unique properties of comics. Tons and tons of fun. Metal Men has a long, long history in comics. Great stuff there. Inferior 5, the second issue of another 12-issue mini rolling out. And Lucifer is your Vertigo Sandman Universe book of the week. Everybody loves Lucifer. And it's a really, really great stuff for all the other guys too. Been talking up what a great job all the independent publishers are doing with everything that they do these days. This is your latest issue of American Gods, spinning out of the Neil Gaiman book and TV show and everything else. You know we love us anything Neil Gaiman around here. You know we love anything Dark Horse around here. So that's one that's got to make it into your stack this week. And The Mask is back. Really great to see The Mask back in comics. It's been way too long since Dark Horse gave us a new Mask title. Really, really fun stuff there. Trees from Warren Ellis is your Image book of the week, because I highly, highly recommend anything from Warren Ellis, like last week's Batman's Grave, like Planetary, like anything that says Warren Ellis on it. He really is one of the great writers of all of comics. And Gideon Falls is your other Image book of the week. Says so right on the cover. It's Eisner Award winner for Best Ongoing Series. Great stuff. And Marked is your first issue Gotta Have It Image book of the week, because there's always a first issue Gotta Have It Image book of the week. Always encouraging you guys to grab these first issues, because when they're gone, they're totally gone. Good stuff there. And a great week for Dynamite. This is Savage Tales starring Red Sonja. This is your latest Halloween special. They did a Betty Page Halloween special. Now they've got Savage Tales with Red Sonja. There will be a few others rolling out, because Dynamite loves to do the Halloween specials. Anything with Red Sonja or Vampirella number 4 with the especially awesome Art Germ cover, because you guys love those Art Germ covers. Red Sonja and Vampirella is a little bit of what Dynamite does best, but they also do things like Death-Defying Devil by Gail Simone. Gail Simone's one of my favorite writers in comics. Really cool to see her taking on Death-Defying Devil. Dynamite does a lot of things with the Golden Age characters that have gone to public domain. Check out Project Superpowers for more characters like this. Much like Warren Ellis, I love just about anything written by Gail Simone. Transformers is your IDW book of the week, because IDW does all of this 1980s stuff in style. But Island of Dr. Moreau is my IDW book of the week, because I'm just a big fan of H.G. Wells, and it's always great to see anything H.G. Wells in comic form. Speaking of sci-fi, Firefly is my Boom Studios book of the week. Whedon's taken all of his Whedonverse books over to Boom Studios. Angel, Buffy, all this Firefly stuff. Been really digging this book. It reads just like the show does, so if you're a big fan of that like I am, you're going to want to pick that up. And Once in Future is your other Boom Studios book of the week. This book has exploded since they launched it at Comic-Con. We're big fans of it here at Black Cat. We got reprints of number 1, we got number 2, this week's number 3. This is the same team that did Wicked and Divine. If you're a fan of that book, or if you're a fan of Image Comics, really, really recommend grabbing the first issue of this. It will definitely suck you in and make you pick up the other 2. Love me a lot of things from Boom Studios, so go to the Boom Studios website and check out all the cool stuff that they do. Robotech Remix is your Titan book of the week, because everybody loves giant robots. Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons is your Oni Press book of the week. You guys love Rick and Morty, and it's awesome to see them taking on D&D. This is the second Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons, so grab the trade paperback to the first series, and then pick up the first couple issues of the new one, because that's good stuff. Fathom from Aspen Comics, because I always like to mention Fathom and Soulfire and the great job that Aspen does keeping all the Michael Turner stuff going. That's as good as it's ever been. And Archie, number 708, otherwise known as Archie and Sabrina these days. Another thing I've been talking up like crazy here in the shop and on the podcast and everywhere I go. Archie is really one of the best publishers going right now. They have a huge range of all kinds of things. So much like Boom, go to the Archie website and take a look at all the different cool stuff that they're doing. Their mainstream line, the all ages line, the horror stuff. Great, great time to be an Archie fan. And a lot of fun with the all ages too. I told you I'd come back to the IDW Marvel mashups. Marvel has licensed out their all ages line to IDW, and IDW has been doing an amazing job with it, with all this Marvel Action stuff. This is your latest issue of Marvel Action Black Panther. Like I mentioned earlier, everybody loves Black Panther. Great time to be a fan of him. They do this one, they do the Avengers, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, all kinds of them. So along with these Star Wars adventures, these are definitely books that you want to get into your stack for you or for the younger reader in your life. Great, great stuff there. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, the main title from these several My Little Pony books that they do. And just in time for Halloween, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Doesn't get more classic than Scooby-Doo. Love me some Scooby-Doo team up. Like I mentioned before, there's a 100-page giant, so grab the new one this week, grab that 100-page giant, have some Scooby-Doo fun with your little ones just in time for Halloween. Lots and lots of great reading out there. It's a great week to try something new, great week to try something different, so get down to your shop, pick up something fun to read. That's all we got for you for this week. You can check us out at black-cat-comics.com. Check out the Facebook page. Check out the YouTube channel. Check out the podcast at soundcloud.com. Or just get on down here to the good old brick and mortar in Rockin' Milpitas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.